morning, everybody. It's good to be with you today. Let's worship this morning together. Sing, when you move. When you move, darkness runs for cover. When you move, no one's turned away, no. 'Cause where you are, fear turns into praises, Lord. Where you are, no heart's left unchanged. So come, that's our prayer today. So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. When you move, the outcast finds a family. When you move, the orphan finds a home. Yeah. Lord, here we are. Oh, teach us to love mercy. Yes, Lord. With humble hearts, we bow down at your throne. So come, Lord, so come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. So come, Lord, so come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. King of all generations, King of all generations, let every tongue and nation surrender all to you alone. You alone, Lord. Yeah. King of all generations, let every tongue and nation surrender all to you alone, Lord. You alone. So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. Lead us back to you, Lord. Yeah, so come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. Lead us back to you, Lord. Lead us back to you. Lead us to your heart, Lord. Lead us back to you. Lead us back to you. Yes, Lord. Pull me in closer, close to your heart. May I be a pure reflection of all you are, Lord. Love that is patient, love that is kind, a love that keeps no offenses or wrongs in mind. Make me like Jesus, make me like Jesus. My heart is an open space. My heart is an open space for you to come and have your way. I'm open, I'm open. My heart is an open space space for you to come and have your way. I'm open, I'm open. You're faithful to find me right where I am. And even in my wandering, you call me friend. Mercy receives me and lifts me to my feet, and I'm caught up in the wonder and mystery of knowing Jesus, of knowing Jesus. My heart is an open space for you to come and have your way. I'm open, I'm open. My heart is an open space for you to come and have your way. I'm open, I'm open. I'm open to what you wanna do, Lord. Do whatever you wanna do, and do whatever you wanna do, Lord. Say whatever you wanna say, Jesus. Move however you wanna move. Change whatever you wanna change, yeah. Do whatever you wanna do, Lord. Say whatever you wanna say to me, Lord. Move however you wanna move. Change whatever you wanna change. Change whatever, and change whatever you want to change. My heart is an open space for you to come and have your way. I'm open, I'm open, Lord. My heart is an open space for you to come and have your way. I'm open, I'm open, I'm open, Lord. I'm open.
Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your
Hey, good morning, Alongsiders and friends. Thanks for joining us here online here this morning. This whole month of September, for those that don't know, is National Recovery Month. National Recovery Month is a national observance held every September to educate Americans about substance use treatment and mental health services. I'm thankful to have Mr. Jason Johnson with us, as well as Troy McChesney over here that you cannot see at this point. Obviously both Alongsiders and friends, my neighbor, good friend, and Jason, founder of Sober Living Oregon and Treatment Center. What is your title over there, Troy? Admissions and Outreach for Troy, so both here serving the Portland Metroplex area. As you guys know, Jason, he's not a stranger to many of us, but for those that are newer to us online, this might be kind of your first introduction to Jason. We won't get into all of his history because it's really not that good, but really grateful for where he's at today in his life. And the tongue-in-cheek banter thing is a normal reality for him and I, so we'll just have to allow that to be what it is here this morning. But Sober Living Oregon has actually been one of our partners for a number of years now. I don't even know how many years, but 7 years or so. And so we're grateful for the work that they do. We think it's a very, very important work in the city as well as beyond now. But for the last 31 years, this recovery month has been celebrated. I didn't even know it's 31 years. Maybe you guys did or did not know that either. But and in all honesty, when I think about what this month, the title of it, or what it seeks to recognize, I think we're all trying to recover from this year. 2020 has been a year, I think, for all of us. I don't think we're going to fully recover until 2021 maybe. But with the fires, obviously, the loss of homes, the displaced persons, families this month, everywhere you look, it feels like recovery is needed. I know that Jason was out by his house, making sure that his house was safe. Yeah, his new house out there in that area where Estacada, your Estacada area?
Probably Carver, like Estacada, not quite all the way out to Estacada, maybe 6 miles west of Estacada.
But I know we were texting you every once in a while, just checking on you, making sure okay. But if you're watching today, this season or this week for you, or even this day, feels like recovery, then we're praying that God would give you the strength to carry on and carry through until your recovery is your restoration. Because I think that's the gift of recovery, that when recovery becomes restoration, restoration then unfolds your story and the power of your story. And I want to talk a little bit about that here with Jason. But right out of the gate, my friend, in 2019, the Willamette Week published this article that I was rereading in preparation for this time together. And the title of it says, "Nobody Can Beat Oregon for Drug Use and Abuse." It goes on to say that Oregon ranks among the states with the highest use of drugs. Number 1, marijuana. Number 2, pain reliever misuse. Number 1 for marijuana. Number 1 for pain reliever misuse. Number 2 for meth. Number 4 for cocaine. Number 4 for alcohol disorders. And number 21 for heroin. And I know, Troy, I mentioned that earlier, and you actually stated that Oregon is also last for treatment.
Yes, that's correct. They rank last overall in the United States, 50th for treatment options and availability.
Oregon is the last of all the states for treatment options. So we're number 1 for all of these different substances and the abuse thereof, but we rank last as it relates to treatment options.
That's correct.
Well, so I got 2 questions to start. Number 1, is it as bad as it sounds? And then number 2, how is Sober Living Oregon and Treatment Center helping with this reality here in Portland?
So I believe it is that bad, right? I travel to other states and I get to see a lot of recovery in other areas, and I see other organizations that do kind of like what we do here, and they have a bigger mission, right? And they have a bigger support band, right? But here in Oregon, I think the thing with us is we legalize everything, right? Good, bad, or whatever that is. That's somebody else's opinion, not my opinion to give you right here. But we legalize everything in a way, and then we don't help the person with all wraparound services. Like, so we can help you with addiction, we can help you with mental health, and we can help you with housing. We just don't have something really out there that pays for all those things for the low income. And what we're finding out today is it's not low income. What this pandemic has done, it's opened the doors to people that hide their use, right, from their families and from their spouses and stuff like that. So a lot of stuff is coming out in this pandemic that we don't know. So it's just getting worse and worse and worse. I've had 7 suicides in the last 7 months, 8 months, right, from people with long-term sobriety, and we had a young kid with short-term sobriety, right, that either OD'd, trying to hit that level where they want to use to not come to, right, or people that just, they didn't know what to do in times like this, right? So instead of not having that connection of person to person, we really we're losing people, and people are hiding, right? So there's a lot of people giving up clean dates, sobriety dates. Mental illness is taking a lot more effect because we can hide in our houses, or we can hide where we're at. What SLO is trying to do is we just got our mental health certification 3 weeks ago. We got certified by the state of Oregon.
That's great.
So we have housing, we have mental health, and we have substance abuse all on the same property, right? And we try to treat those, the whole idea is to treat them together, but also to look at them individually, right? Because some people, we have to get the mental health under control to do that. Now, do we make any money at that? No, and I think that's where a lot of people pull away from. But if we're gonna help people, we're gonna have to do that. We can't rely on the states. We can't rely on the federal government. We can't rely on certain people to fund everything, right? What we learned in the pandemic is we have to step up. And so that's what Sober Living Oregon is trying to do, is trying to step up. And in the last year, we've gone from 20 clients to 70 clients right now in our center a day, right? That's a huge need for our organization and a huge need for our area, right? So it's scary to me that, yes, it is that bad, right? And I believe it's worse, and I believe it's going to get worse, right? And we're gonna either have to step up and eat the cost, or we're gonna have to step up and realize it's about people's lives, right? And I think with my team, that's where we're at. It's not about money, it's about lives changing. And look, if one person gets sober in our area and they're a dad, or a mom, think what that does to not just that person, but that whole family, and then everybody in the ripple effect of that family, and everybody that works with that person. And I mean, it's just a ripple effect. It could go out if you just help one person. So what we have to do at SLO is just stop and say, hey, how can we help this individual to succeed?
Yeah. I know that, obviously I've been around you guys long enough that SLO, I mean, really your focus is hope for the whole person. So when you're talking about those different aspects, mental health, housing, obviously addiction issues. So do you feel that
education, jobs,
yeah,
relationships, accountability? I mean, we're not just about substance and mental health. We're about, man, how can we make you okay with who you are?
Yeah.
Right? And if we can do that, man, it just changes everybody.
Yeah.
Right? I just had 2 young men in my house go get baptized in a swimming pool, right? That are in a pandemic that drove them to this, right? So stuff's happening.
Yeah.
It's just happening in unique ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, that's awesome. So I want to backpedal a little bit and go backwards here. How long ago did you and Julie start sober living? I know it hasn't always been sober living, but
Gurney House, 2000, the end of 2011, right? So the end of 2011, 2012 is when we made the decision to get a house.
Why did you decide? I mean, I know your addiction story. I know many of us do, but why did you guys decide to go, hey, let's do this?
I don't think I don't know if we decided. I think God pushed us, right?
Okay.
So what happened is I met a guy that did sober living down in Southern California. He came to speak at something for me. And up here, we didn't have a lot of structured sober living. We had Oxford Houses, which do really good. We have Iron Tribe. We had a bunch of organizations that help certain people, but there wasn't always a lot of accountability, right? And some of them, they were really, really phenomenal, and some of them, they were really, really different, right? And so what we did is we tried to do sober living in a way that it was structured and more accountable and more relationship with everybody, right? Where we were part of their life. The community was part of their life. It wasn't just a sober house in a neighborhood. And so that's what pushed us in that. It was trying to do something different, right? Trying to not put a label on there, trying not put a money on there, hey, you have to have this. It was, what can I do to help that person, right? And coming from a place where you had to go get a food box, where you had to ask help for housing, where you had nothing, how I got out of that was helping somebody else. And so the big gift of it for Julie and I is we didn't have the money. We couldn't afford it. We had to go get food boxes to help feed the guys in the house. We had to do those certain things. But when we did those things, is how we got pushed into it, right? Because we started seeing the results of this. Like, and I looked at a picture the other day, and there's 9 guys in this picture, and 6 of those guys have not drank or used since that day from when we first formed, and 3 of them are back in recovery that have slipped and came back, right? So all those people are still in the game. So something was going on in that first house that it was just, we didn't get into it to do what we're doing. We got into it just to help change somebody's life that needed a hand.
So from that first house, how many houses today?
Troy?
So currently, right now, we have 3 men's and 3 women's houses, and we're able to house 30 women and 45 men. They're gender-specific housing. So we've really, we didn't even have a woman's house 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And now we're able to accommodate 30 women entering into recovery.
Wow. And now,
And then we also have the apartment complex for families.
the apartment complex for families. And now there's this treatment center that's Gleason and 122nd. I mean, you've taken over the majority of the building down the road. You hope it'll be your building.
Yeah, we're meeting on October 2nd with the owner that has it right now to see how we can get in line to figure that out. We have a little bit of money for a down payment, we think, that somebody's going to donate to us to help us get into that situation. So it's, we tried to, but we just, in the last week, we hired a doctor to be there full time. And we have mental health now. So it seems like every time we get to a point where we can secure something, we open a different division up, and it's a whole different,
Yeah.
I think there's 21. I was just in a meeting today. There's 21 employees.
Wow.
Right. So
That's a lot.
it kind of keeps getting, and then I went and negotiated for another top half of that building that we're going to have to remodel, put in there because it's just overwhelming.
Yeah.
Right. But to be the next step to get to where we want, we want to own that building. We want it wraparound services in there. We want to have, people to help people with GEDs, somebody to help with getting TriMet cards. The doctor we hired can do physicals. She's a nurse practitioner with the medical license, so she can do everything a doctor can do. So it's not just a client coming in and for addiction now. They're going to be able to be seen for anything, right? Because we have a lot of people come into our center that have staph infections, haven't been to the doctor in a long time. Women haven't followed through on certain things. Now we have a doctor that can address all that, and she's there 4 days a week. That puts us in a whole different level, right? Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Or it can bankrupt us.
Yeah. Here's that. I love hearing the story, and obviously I'm close to the story. I have this life motto that I share with people, and it basically says this: a life interrupted is a life inspired. That many people seek inspiration, and yet if there's no interruption, the inspiration could be short-lived. And so we jump from inspiration or what inspires us to what inspires us. But when you're interrupted by something, when it changes the course of your life, then you live in that interruption, and that's what creates the inspiration. And the inspiration is a long, long fuse, right? For me, when I look at you, and when obviously the relationship that we have, obviously getting to know Troy the way I have, like there's an interruption that keeps you guys moving down this road to continue to not only sustain but expand and grow Sober Living Oregon to affect as many people in a true holistic fashion as much as possible. And so do you feel like when you think about, I remember when you were just in the house and I did an interview with you back
with black
then.
hair.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You didn't have much gray back then. But the time that I'm around Jason or the time that I'm around Troy, and maybe it's true for some of you, when you're interrupted by something, and for Jason, maybe it's the fact that, as he said, God pushed him into this and they had no choice but to respond and keep going. But there is sometimes this interruption, it could be divine, it could be your own pain, it could be whatever, but then you live from that and there's a deep inspiration to then create change, right? To create momentum or opportunities or portals or whatever for change. Would you say that you have been interrupted, not only by your own personal story, because I know how difficult that story is, but now you're seeing so many other stories, right? And the potential of change and wholeness happen in them. Does that breed a continued inspiration based on an interruption in your life?
I think for me, what I share with a lot of people when they sit with me is everything I have in my life that's of value or any good is the result of helping somebody else.
Right.
Right? So I always tell people, if you show up when it's not convenient or necessary, so that means if somebody's moving at the church, you just go and help, right?
Yeah.
You just show up. Or somebody's in the hospital, you don't go there because you're a doctor, you go there to give somebody a hug or just listen. If you do those things and you give when you don't have nothing to give, man, your life is blessed.
Yeah,
right?
which is an interruption, right?
Yeah.
Literally, if I go and show up hospitals
Now,
or
if
doorsteps,
it's my job, right, and I'm going to go,
But
like
still.
if I'm Pastor Greg and I go to somebody's sick, I go to the hospital, I pray, everybody thanks me, hugs me, and walks away. If you're that guy that nobody knows,
Yeah.
and you show up, I heard a guy say once that his son got in an accident, right, and a guy kept showing up, and he was at a meeting. He said, hey, I want to thank Biff. Before this ever happened, I didn't even know who you were. I shook your hand a couple times at the church, and I did this and this, but you've been there every day. You're not there because you know anything. You're there just because somebody needs a hug.
Yeah.
And my family loves you, right? That's what I learned right away. Is if I show up when it's not necessary or convenient, man, I'm blessed.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't know what it's doing to another person.
Yeah.
We build relationships with Troy, right? The only reason I went to go pick up Troy out of jail is because his dad has a relationship with my wife, right? And he wouldn't leave me alone. But I'm blessed today because of Troy. I have my business and our relationship with Slow is where it's at today because of him.
Yeah.
Right? I've kind of gotten that to a point where I'm overwhelmed in different areas, right? So to me, it's kind of sad sometimes because I don't get to meet everybody individually. So Troy has kind of stepped into that spot where he knows everybody's issues, everybody's problem, everybody's family. That's the good stuff, right? Now I'm at this point where, well, I'd rather just go do the good stuff, right? But that's not the plan, right? We wouldn't be where we are if we all just stopped and went and did that, right? So as you get going, sometimes you miss those interruptions, right? Because that's what keeps you going. But every once in a while, I get called into something and you're like, oh, I got to be part of that. You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, that's it, just part of it.
Yeah. No, it's true.
So-
And I think those interruptions are gifts because it reminds you of the work, the important work that's being done, right? I mean, and you guys' work, it's really important that it's being done, especially in the Portland Metroplex area. Now, I've said earlier that for Alongsiders, Slow has been a partner of ours for 7 years, Jason mentioned, and recently, Alongsiders was able to come alongside the treatment center and help basically rebuild.
From a 1960s look to a 2020 look, right? Well,
rebuild
I don't
the whole
know,
court-
2019 look. Let's not go with 20.
To rebuild the whole courtyard. And many of you do not know this, but I was over at the treatment center meeting up with Troy and Jason, getting a tour of it, and the courtyard. Jason was talking about it, and I just had that stirring in my spirit, man, as I heard you talk about what you want to do with the courtyard as a place for all of your patients to come and to be together, and all of the possibilities of what it could be, and all of that. And I just said, man, we got to do something. So we came alongside, and well, you'll see this video right now of what that all means. So check out this video. Hey, Alongsiders. So just several weeks ago now, probably maybe a month ago, I was here at Sober Living Oregon Treatment Center with the practitioners, the interns, Julia, Savannah, and Pastor Camilla. And as I was walking the area, they were being introduced to the efforts here. One of our partners, obviously, as Alongsiders, we partner with Sober Living Oregon and all that they do for those that are in recovery. This is their treatment center. It's an amazing spot here off of Gleason and 122nd. Obviously, they have homes scattered throughout the Gresham and the Portland area doing amazing work. But as we were walking the treatment center and talking with Jason, the founder, and Troy, we were discussing, once again, how we as Alongsiders can come alongside. And one of the things that brought up was they, in this treatment center, are looking to recreate their whole patio area and create a space for all of their 60-plus patients that come in and through this place, trying to create space for meeting, for outdoor activity, just for just a place to be together. And so I got that sense in my spirit that that's something that we could do. I moved that idea across to the council, and they gave a big affirmation, knowing that Sober Living Oregon is one of our partners. And so we are fully making this happen. So right down below, you'll see this is the new courtyard that is sponsored by Alongsiders, us, for all of not only the patients now, but the patients to come that are seeking recovery and wholeness. And we're going to have a grand opening of this, so we'll let you know more and more. I'll try to post more and more as this thing gets closer to being done. But this comes through all of the investments historically that we have made as a church to help resource this effort. Alongsiders, what we do is essential, and we do it together. And so it requires all of us to participate as stewards and in sharing for the greater good. And this is truly the greater good. So more to come. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being generous. Love to you all. The work of us is happening. Even though we can't be together, the work of us is happening. The art of living alongside is being shown here on 122nd and Gleason. Much love to every single one of you. Bye-bye. So we'll give you guys more updates. We're almost done. I think the courtyard is almost done. There's a few more things that we're doing to it, but we will definitely do another video to kind of show you the final piece of that courtyard. But looking forward to all that it can be for all of the folk at Sober Living Oregon. So I'm grateful for that opportunity. I would just ask, what would you say not only to the Alongsiders and our friends that are watching today, but to just people in general, about addiction, about the road to recovery? What would you say to people today in light of COVID, in light of stats, in light of the realities of what you deal with each and every day? What would you want people to know? What would you want them to hear?
That there is help. You're not in a bad spot, right? You're not unique. That ask for help if there's an issue of any kind, right? Don't isolate. Don't get stuck in there. That we do recover. I mean, that's a slogan that goes around Oregon that I used to think was kind of cheesy, but we do recover. There is help. There is help for everything, right? I believe today, especially in today's time, we're learning what relationships mean, right? Where it's no more calling, it's FaceTiming, right? It's Zoom meetings. It's doing stuff where you can't hide on the other side of the phone by a text. It's looking at people. Even if you have to do it on your phone, we need that connection, right? So if you're in recovery, you have people out there hurting, or you have people out there scared, it's not about calling and saying, hey, how are you? It's FaceTiming them, right? It's putting a mask on and knocking on the door, right? It's life and death, right? And that's what we need to remember today. I think this pandemic is, look, in one way it's killing people, but in another way it's put us in a different vision, right? Look, 2 years ago, you wouldn't get people to FaceTime. You wouldn't get people to do speakers meetings on Zoom meetings. You wouldn't have AA meetings from people's houses. So now we're reaching thousands and thousands of other people that would have never got reached because they couldn't get out of their house because of a disability or lack of transportation or lack of this. So this pandemic has done some amazing things, but on the second side of it, it's let us know that we need that connection. We need that connection as in you and I, right? Where we can see each other and we can say hi, or we can say, hey, how you doing? And see that visual, because we know when it comes to texting, emails, and certain things, we can read it the wrong way, right? Somebody could be saying, hey, I need help, and we read it as like, hey, they're having a great day. So if you're in recovery, or if you know somebody's struggling, check on them, right? Ask them, go look at them, see what's going on, and be willing to ask for help, right? Today we have to ask for help. And if you can't ask for help in today's time, you need to reevaluate what's going on, because right now everybody needs help. Yeah. Everybody, I don't care who you are, everybody for the first time in our lives has to have some kind of help with something, right?
Yeah. No, it's really good. And as you guys can see up here, slowrecoverycenter.com. If you know of anybody, either in your family, in your neighborhood, in your school, in your work environment, that you know would need help in whatever they're trying to manage in their own addiction, man, would you make sure you reach out to Troy or Jason and just find, as Jason says, the help that's needed. And we have 100% trust in what Sober Living Oregon is doing and believe in what they're doing, and look forward to see the continuous growth as well as the grace that seems to be on this organization, and I would even call it a movement. So I'm grateful for you, Troy, grateful for you, friend Jason, and you guys obviously will hear more about Sober Living Oregon throughout the years. So anyway, be right back. Oh, hey, quickly, check out this video. You guys just made this video, really cool, very moving video about Sober Living Oregon. So let's go ahead and just run that.
I couldn't remember what it was like to be happy. I had accepted that I wasn't gonna ever feel that again. I was just completely stuck. I had lost hope, thought that this was it. This was gonna be my life. There was no motive except for maybe I can live another day and maybe somebody can help me.
Here at Slow Recovery, we care about the whole individual. We believe in hope for the whole individual. It's not a cookie cutter approach. In order for treatment to be successful, there has to be a strong wraparound program. We're gonna figure out what's best for the individual and create a treatment plan around that.
Finding these avenues for people to develop these skills is essential. And that's part of the mission, is to give them these new skills, help them figure out how to use them, and even more importantly, when to use them. The interesting thing is that everybody handles trauma differently. Substance use is just a coping mechanism, and we have to help you figure out how to rewrite that in your brain, begin the healing process.
Each individual is unique with their challenges and their struggles, and so we get to know the intimate details of the individual when they come into our care. By utilizing our sober living homes as our clinic, we can do the therapeutic process at the clinic and really get familiar with the individual at the homes as well.
I accepted what they provided, an incredible curriculum. I feel I was adopted into a family. You know, there's been times where I fall back to, and they're there to catch me. They guide you in a way where you can really discover who you are and you can really discover what you want. That's what's cool about Slow, is they give you that. They give you this treatment center that's totally like alternative in a way. You know, you do so many fun things here. And then they give you that family aspect too. They're not just staff on site. They're like, they become a friend or a family member that you call in any time.
We're talking about a life or death situation. From the phone call to discharge, that client is loved, heard, and understood.
As scary as it is, and as anxious as I am, because I want to get a message to you. That's the truth of it. It brings me to tears to know that people are still out there suffering and need help and aren't willing to get it. So we're here for you. We want you to reach out. We want you to ask somebody for help. That's the one thing. Ask somebody for help.
If I would have continued on that journey the way that I was going, I'd definitely be dead right now.
Why do I want to wait until tomorrow to save my own life?
Let us help you. We're here for you. You're not alone.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Now, here's a little inside scoop. I did the interview with Jason and Troy yesterday, and now this is a new day, and I have a fresh cut. That's just the inside piece. But listen, we encourage you, let's do it together. Pray for Sober Living Oregon. I mean, Jason, Troy, and the 21 people on their team, this is important work. It is life-saving work. It is wholeness work. And really, it is the way of Jesus. And so would you pray for them? Would you pray for them when you see them? Would you pray for them when you think about them? And once again, if there's anybody in your family, anybody in your social sphere that you feel would benefit from the work of Sober Living Oregon, make sure you reach out to them. Once again, the website is up right there. But I wanted to end this morning by just offering a reflection. I loved how Jason talked about how he felt he was really pushed into this work of recovery. And I think each of us are pushed, or that we're called, we're invited, or we're led into life-giving work. There's this passage of scripture in Mark chapter 1, verses 29 and on, which I want to show you right now. And it starts like this. Simon's mother-in-law was in bed with a fever, and they immediately told Jesus about her. Now, Jesus and a few others had just left a synagogue, and they arrive at this house. And as it states, Simon's mother-in-law is in bed with a fever. And gosh, I mean, given today, we all understand the difficulty of what a fever can create. And I was just notified yesterday through social media that a fellow pastor in California, Kelly Fellows, is on a ventilator and his fever has come back. So we understand. We've got university students that I know of that have come down with COVID and they're dealing with the fever. So we understand the fever thing today more than ever. But obviously she's really sick enough that she can't get out of bed. And Andrew and Simon tell Jesus immediately about their mother-in-law, and this gives us insight to probably how serious the fever and the sickness may have been. And it basically says this, that Jesus went to her, took her by the hand and helped her up, and the fever left her, and she began to wait on them. So Jesus goes to her, takes her by the hand, and helps her up. Now today, if that was happening, before Jesus would have went in, I would have said, hey, Jesus, here's a mask, and here's some gloves, and when you come out, I'll get some sanitizer for you. But that's a different day then compared to today. But Jesus goes in and cares for her. He takes her by the hand, and he lifts her up. What and where are the places that you are called to go? Jesus goes. And what are the places that you are called to go to be part of God's healing work? Who are the people that you might be called to, or who are the people that you are moved by to be a part of God's healing work? What are the things that are currently in today's climate breaking your heart? Now, each of us individually can only do so much, but alongside us together, we have collectively made an impact in the lives of so many people. And we are called, we are led, and we are pushed and even interrupted at times to specific places and people, that we're led to these places by listening to our heart, being present in the everyday. So what breaks your heart? Is it climate issues? Is it the racial unrest and the injustice? Is it homelessness? Is it the refugee crisis that is still happening? Is it fatherless children? Is it adoption? Is it recovery, education, health, abuse recovery? Is it hospice? Is it global neighboring, reconciliation, healthcare? What has got your heart? What is pulling your heart? What is pushing you? What is interrupting you? Jesus was told about this woman's suffering, and he went to her. He went to her, and he takes her by the hand, and he helps her up. He lifts her up out of her situation. Who are you lifting up? Who are you helping today? Who will you lift up tomorrow or this week? Or who would you be helping this week coming alongside them in the way that we see Jesus coming alongside this woman? In the light of what's happening in our world, in the light of what's happening in our own city, in maybe our own relationships, in small or in great ways, let's make ourselves available to lift someone up. Maybe it's through prayer. Maybe it's through the words that you speak. Maybe it's through the actions. Maybe it's all of that. But let us choose to be a healing presence by helping, by going in and helping, by being in proximity, in nearness, and listening to what it means for us to come alongside and maybe help or lift someone up in this season. It goes on to say that that evening after sunset, the people brought Jesus all the sick and the demon-possessed. The whole town gathered at the door, and Jesus healed many who had various diseases. But before I jump into that, let me actually go back here. Notice that when the fever left her, she began to wait on them. Now I imagine she is super grateful that the fever is left, that her body is feeling much better. And notice what she does. She reciprocates by waiting on them. She reciprocates by serving Jesus and others. And when you have been laid out by sickness or sadness or relational hurt, and people have come to help or come to lift you up, to be present to you, when you are able, may you rise and reciprocate. May you rise and reciprocate in the same way that somebody has served you, in the same way that somebody has come to you, in the same way somebody has lifted you up. When you're able, may you rise and may you reciprocate. And this is what she does. And then notice notice what Jesus does here. He allows himself to be cared for. He allows this mother-in-law to wait on him and to serve him. And this is a reminder to all of us that we have to allow ourselves to be cared for. Jesus cared for her, and then she cared for him. Cared for him in the way that she only maybe knew how at this moment, is just to get up and make some food and take care of him in the same way that he entered the room and lifted her up and helped her in her moment. Now, some of us are really terrible at this. You give, and then when someone comes and wants and asks in what ways they can care for you, you kind of push against it. You don't. It's not that you don't totally, completely welcome it, but you do push against it. I know for me that I'm terrible. I'm learning what it means to just welcome the care of others. See, it's really important that we've got to let someone care for us at times. And letting people care for us is how we get filled up. And when you're filled up, you can go again and care for others. When you're giving and not letting others care for you, your caring can maybe actually possibly become unhealthy, egocentric. You've got to allow people to come alongside you just in the same way that you would seek to come alongside them. Jesus comes and he is told about the mother-in-law. He responds to her, and then in turn, she cares for him. And as I said, what happens next? After that moment of supper, as the sun sets, all of these people start coming to the front door. I can't imagine. I was trying to picture this, and I don't know how big the village was or where they were located, but all of these people start coming to the front door, and they're bringing those that are sick, those that are oppressed by the enemy of their life, and Jesus is there, and he begins at the door, begins to heal so many who had various diseases. I don't know how long this went on. I don't know how many hours this took. I don't know if this went way into the night, into the early morning hours. But look what happens after this, according to Mark. Very early in the morning, while it is still dark, Jesus got up, left that house where all of that activity was happening, and he went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Jesus cared for everyone that was brought to the door. At least he was healing those with various diseases. And then the next morning, early in the morning, he rises and he gets off by himself and he finds a place where he can once again be cared for. But this time it is not a woman that's cooking and feeding him. Now he is actually with the Father, and he is sitting there and he's being cared for in prayer. He's communing with the Father. He's allowing his spirit to be encouraged. This woman cared for his body, cared for his energy. And now he's finding a place the next day to begin to care for his spirit, to once again get filled up, to be at that quiet place before the one that loves him, before God. And the thing, if you read on, which we won't have enough time, you read the next story in Mark. You know what happens? He comes across lepers, and what does he do? He heals the leper. Jesus cared for people, then found rest, gave himself to prayer, opened himself to God, then cared for people again, then rest, and then self-care. Cared for people, then rest, self-care, cared for people. Do you see the rhythm? If you read the scriptures, you find these rhythms within the gospel narratives, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And obviously we're landing here in Mark for now, but it's important that you fill yourselves up and then you care for others. Jesus gives us this rhythm. At least Mark writes in such a way that reveals to us Jesus seemed to have this rhythm where caring for others and then you yourself are cared for. Or you find the moments and the places within your day where you're sitting before the gaze of the one that knows you and loves you most, God, and that you are just being filled back up. Your spirit is alive. It's feeling energized to continue just to live another day alongside other people, be it your family, be it your children, be it your coworkers, be it those in your neighborhood, be it for whatever has your heart's attention, whatever you're broken over that you're serving to try to bring healing to that area. You're finding the rhythm to take care of yourself as you give of yourself. Taking care of you helps you take care of others. And so it's so important in this season of COVID. Man, maybe you can find somebody that safely can give you a really good massage. Maybe you go for walks. You get the needed sleep. You eat well. You exercise. You laugh with friends. You sit and you dine and meditate on the scripture, and you open yourselves up to the Spirit in prayer. But you let yourself be loved. You got to let yourself be loved, because as you let yourself be loved, then you can love. Then you can love. Fill your cup. So when you're emptying your cup, the contents of your cup or of your life are both helpful and potentially healing. Helpful and healing. And so where in the world, small or great, can you participate? What is breaking your heart? How are you sensing a push or a stir or an interruption that you might go and that you might help and lift another up? And that in that, as you're giving, that you allow others to come alongside you and care for you, and that you commit to devotion, you commit to spiritual practice, you commit to moments where you yourself are being renewed in your spirit because you are taking time with the one who sees you, the one who loves you, the one who embraces you, the one who encourages you and comforts you. So as we move to the Eucharist here today, I'm just going to invite you, as you take the bread and you receive the cup, and that you are reminded, that I'm reminded, that we are reminded of the one who sees us, the one who loves us, and the one that we are meant to imitate, the one that poured out his life. We are to pour out ours. The one that breaks himself open and gives of his life. And that we in turn are to break ourselves open and to give of ourselves. But also the one that went to solitary places to sit with the one that energizes and mends and heals his life. That we do the same. That we do the same. And may the taking of the bread and the cup or whatever you have before you be reminded that in these days that we should go and that we should lift up and help. Word, action, but we should also really commit to self-care, making sure that we have the energy and the wherewithal to continue to come alongside others. So enjoy this moment, the bread and the cup or whatever elements. Enjoy, allow the song that's going to be sung over us to be renewing to who you are. And we will see you very, very soon. Much love, Alongsiders. Peace be with you.
Lord, I come and I confess, I'm bowing here, I find my rest. Without you, I fall apart. You're the one that guides my heart. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. It's every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. Where sin runs deep, your grace is more. Where grace is found is where you are. And where you are, Lord, I am free. Holiness is Christ in me. Where you are, and where you are, Lord, I am free. Holiness is Christ in me. Lord, I need you. Lord, I need you. Oh, I defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. So teach my song, so teach my soul to rise to you. When temptation comes my way, when I cannot stand, I'll fall on you, Lord. Jesus, you're my hope and stay. And when I cannot stand, and when I cannot stand, I'll fall on you. Jesus, you're my hope and stay. Our prayer today, Lord, I need you. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. My one defense, my one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. Oh God, oh God, how I need you. Oh God, how I need you.
Hey everybody, Camilla here. You have been hearing us talk about groups for the last few weeks, and some of the groups have begun this last week, but this coming week, some are still starting, so you still have the opportunity to join. But today will pretty much be your last chance if you want that opportunity. So sign up today for any of the wonderful groups that we have going on. And also, every year before COVID, we would have a crazy big fall festival party. And unfortunately, we are not able to do that this year. But we have something coming to you, a very short survey that we would love if you could quickly give us a response to an idea that we have, and if you would be a willing participant. So please watch for that. And lastly, but definitely not least, every week we talk about giving. And I know it can be kind of monotonous because it's every week we hear something about it, but I want to challenge you not to tune out, but to take this moment to listen. In Luke, the Gospel of Luke, Jesus is talking to his disciples, and they're in the temple, and they're watching as people are giving of their offering. And it mentions that you see all of these well-off people who have a lot coming and giving of their offering. And then you see the widow who comes. And it doesn't mention how much those who are well off are giving, but it only mentions what the widow gives, and she gives her 2 pennies. But it says that what she's given is extravagant, that she's given what she didn't even have to give. She's given all she has. And it reminded me of this thought that I've had, that if I were to have a conversation with Jesus, maybe at the end of my days, I don't think that Jesus would ever say to me, Camilla, you just were way too loving. You were way too gracious, and you were way too generous. I don't think he would ever say that. And so my challenge for myself is to continue to challenge how I am loving, how I am gracious toward myself and others, and how generous I am. with what I have and what I don't even have myself to give. So I would challenge you to go above and beyond, to continue to stretch yourself in how you see your own generosity, how you challenge your kids in seeing you be generous and how they can be generous. And there are lots of ways to give. You can send a check-in, you can give on the app, you can go online. So it's very simple, but just that good challenge. You could even go to Luke 24, I believe, and read about that story that I just mentioned. But thank you. We love you guys.
You have a way of taking disappointment, making it an anthem of hope. You have a way of opening the promise, even when the door is still closed. It's what you do, it's who you are. You are like a wildfire in the dark. It's how you move, it's how you work. You can change the whole thing with one word. Lord, let there be life. Hope in my eyes. Let there be life. You have a way of coming with a breakthrough, even when I've run out of time. You are the hero running to my rescue, moving at the speed of light. Let there be light. Hope in my eyes. Let there be It's what you do, it's who you are. You are like a wildfire in the dark. It's how you move, 'cause it's your heart. You are like a million burning stars. It's what you do, it's who you are. You are like a wildfire in the dark. It's how you move, 'cause it's your heart. You are like a million burning stars. Let there be light. Hope in my eyes. Let there be Let there be light. Hope in my eyes. Let there be In the flash of a moment when everything changes, if you're not holding on tight, it can be dangerous. The heart is like glass, fragile to break. And you can feel strong until you lose all your strength.
nothing. But there is a peace that's beyond understanding. I can sing in the storm, find songs in the fire. I see every chain break when I run to the Father.
Oh yes, and I will remind my soul, hang on and don't let go. It's always done before the light starts to shine. It's down in the valley low. There's still a greater hope. He's always in control. He's always good. My God is good, good, so good that will never change. My God is good, good, so good. Pain won't steal my praise. My God is good, good, so good that will never change. My God is good, good, so good. Pain won't steal my praise. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I will remind my soul, hang on and don't let go. It's always done before the light starts to shine. Hope is down in the valley low. There's still greater hope. He's always in control. He is always good. He is always good. So He is always good. He is always good. He is always good. He is always good. Still my praise. My God is good, so good that will never change. My God is good, good, so good. Pain won't steal my praise. Caught between the hidden and what's in the light. Tired of shadow living, the struggle and fight. Is it all for nothing? All for nothing. Caught inside the tension of now and not yet. Holding to the promise that you won't forget. It's all for one thing. All for one thing. You lead me to pray. Search me like a floodlight. Bring me to the bright side. Right into the daylight of your love, your love, your love. Search me like a floodlight. Bring me to the bright side. Out into the daylight of your love, your love, your love. Search me like a floodlight and bring me to the bright side. Right into the daylight of your love, your love, your love. Oh, you lead me to places so open and spacious. It's your invitation. I'm not gonna hide. Can fill up the spaces where I've hesitated. It's your invitation to live in the light. Search me like a floodlight. Bring me to the bright side. Out into the daylight of your love, your love, your love.